All right, folks, greetings. I will be, thank you so much. I do appreciate that. So welcome everyone. Welcome to Academic Advising, New Advisor Training. I was asked to create some type of training for new advisors, people that are either literally new advisors or new advisors in this role. And so what I attempted to do was to give you just a quick overview of characteristics, some of the important systems that we use, and then some of the tricks and techniques that you can use to make your advising sessions productive or more productive, however you want to look at that. Currently, as academic advisors, my colleagues do their advising sessions in 30 minutes. I think it used to be like 45 from what I was told. I actually do my advising sessions in 20. And so my continuing and my new students are very accustomed to 20-minute sessions. If we were in person, it would still be a 20-minute session, but I would actually block out 30 minutes. Here are some of the ways that I've actually been able to do that, and I'll go through each one with you. So what are the successful academic advisor characteristics? And I try to use the word academic advisor a lot, just to change the narrative. One of the things you'll see in the next slide is I'll go over all of the different topics that we get as academic advisors, and I'm sure I've missed some. And you'll start to put two and two together that although I use the word academic advisor, students call us their advisors, and they come to us for a number of things. I put 4 successful academic characteristics up there: adaptable, resourceful, the mantra that everything is figure outable. I'm not sure if that's how you really spell it. That's how I spell it. And empowering. Okay, adaptable means, this is like you all know, being able to move and flow. Resourceful is being able to find the resources for students, get them connected, help them figure out how to get from A to B. Everything is figure outable mindset. That is something that I know I personally say a lot to students, because oftentimes they come with, this is how I'm supposed to get from point A to point B. And they think if they can't do that, that they're a failure, or they don't know what all the options are. And so I'm one of those that'll say, you know what, everything is figure outable. Even if it's not the way that a student may particularly want it, we can still get it done. And then empowering. That to me, it was something that I definitely focused on during my time here, is helping students see that a lot of the stuff that we do as academic advisors, they can do. They just don't know the tools that they have, and or we just do it a lot faster than they can. So common student appointment topics, right? Enrollment services, financial aid, and their academic program. As you can already see, we get a lot. Enrollment services, we get things about holds, in-state tuition status, their discontinued programs, their transfer evaluations and requests, a graduation status, and then how to register for classes. And that'll be, it could be all of those in one session. Financial aid, they ask us about their FAFSA status. They ask us about when they're going to get their aid, how much are they going to get, right? When they have any ineligible courses, they also come to us about that. And then their academic program, how to plan their program, what their class schedule should be, how to transfer to whatever four-year schools they want. Guaranteed admissions is a big thing, and then course overrides and substitutions. And so just know that when you sit and meet with your students, you will get any type of question. And so that goes back to the characteristics that are important, being able to pivot and help students with the many questions that they have. And I know that this list is not all inclusive. And so important tools, the Virginia Peninsula Community College website, that's really important. We'll look at that in a second. PeopleSoft, which is Student Information System, SIS, right? That's also really important. With the Virginia Peninsula Community College website, primarily the catalog and the academic calendar. What I should have put up there, which now that I think about, and or all the links to all the different services that students may need. That's something that's really important. And then with SIS, in a second, I'll go over the student inquiry, the academic advising report, the what if report, and then their student services center. And so without further ado, let's go here. And then vpcc.edu. All right. So the Virginia Peninsula Community College website, one of the most important resources that we have, I send students something from this website every single day. And so that's something to just know in the back of your mind that it is incredibly helpful for students to have access to this. So where I go a lot is one, new students, right? And if you've never taken a moment to actually look at the page, please do. New students, for new students, I'll go down slowly in case you get dizzy or anything from looking at this. There is a new student checklist. So when you're meeting with students, if they're new, you can refer them back to their new student checklist. Oftentimes, students don't actually look at this. They get to a couple parts, they sign in, they meet with us, and then I find out, for example, that they haven't completed their enrollment survey, which is here. That's a really important thing to do. They may not know how to find how to apply for financial aid, things like that. So that's one of the most important things that I send to students. And then also when they're a current student, by that point, right, they know how to reach here. But in case they don't, my VPCC and Navigate is how they get into our two major systems. Students don't quite honestly know sometimes that there's all these student services resources here. And so you may find yourself sending them to here. I've bookmarked many of these, or when I type in, they come up pretty quickly. Our class schedule, catalog, academic calendar, I use this all the time, especially the college catalog and the academic calendar. I'll click the academic calendar first. Super easy to figure out. I will definitely send these to students, let them know about important deadlines, show them that they can print this out. It's very helpful, especially visually, to show students the difference between the different sessions. Sometimes students don't realize that we have multiple sessions outside of the 16-week, and then they also don't always understand the deadlines. And so that's also a very helpful tool that I use with students. The next one is the college catalog. So Dr. Birchall requested that I make a video on how to actually navigate the college catalog and any important tools and tricks that are there. I refer students to their college catalog regularly, and I want them to get used to how to navigate this, how to know what catalog they're in, how to know what classes to take, right? We can do a search here. We can do degrees and programs to find a different program. We can scroll down here. I'll just find one that I know well. Let's see, science, right? So it drops down. We open science, and then I will share this, right? We open science, and boom, this is what our science curriculum looks like. Right. And this is how, for example, students that have to plan their first semester, if you're a first semester student and you're in science, boom, here it is. Right. And then being able to explain to students, what does XX4 mean? What does XX3? Essentially, it means you have a choice. Right. The XX means you have a choice. And when we're looking at, well, what do I pick? If a student knows where they're trying to transfer to, for example, we would want them to pick things that help them towards their transfer program. And that is one of the things in terms of academic advising is we have to be able to ask students questions and get them thinking about a future that they may not have realized yet. Some students, they don't know that they want to transfer yet. And so kind of helping them to see, okay, well, you may not know that you want to transfer, but let's think about what are some options so that you don't, for example, need to retake courses. In terms of our degrees and program, and I know that we'll have specialty advisors that'll watch this later. One of the things to remember is a lot of our applied science programs do transfer. They do what we call articulate. And so, for example, I'll highlight our mechanical engineering technology program. Our mechanical engineering technology program is an applied science, so it's hands-on. They get hands-on skills. And one of the things that it'll say in the actual catalog is information about an articulation agreement. And I let students know that articulation means only transfer to, right? So it is a transfer program, but it only transfers to ODU, or Old Dominion University in this case. And so what students can do is they can come in here, click this link, and it'll show them the articulation agreement. I'll briefly, just for the sake of because this is going to be used as training, I'll open this so that people can see that ODU actually has listed the classes that they want our students to take. It aligns with the degree, and then what they have left at ODU. And so if anyone is working with students that are part of these, articulation type of programs, that's also something really helpful to know. Give me 1 second, folks. I just want to click out of that. Boom. All right. So I'm scrolling up because there's a long list of programs. 2 places that students don't always know to go. So let me scroll up, and then I'm going to scroll down so you see how I got there. Students don't always know, if you're working with a student, about the transfer articulation programs and agreements, the credit for prior learning and advanced standing guide, and academic information. There's a lot of good information in the catalog. This is something to highlight. I'll click it. I won't go into details, right? But students that have transfer credits from like advanced placement or CLEP, or maybe outside work experience, this is a really helpful resource to point them to. And just so you know, as you're taking notes, there'll be videos and handouts and things that'll come later. And so don't feel that you have to try to get everything at once. And so this is another helpful place to send students. We put, for example, what they need to get on their AP scores and what kind of credit comes in from that. That helps students plan. And then we also have our academic information. You may have students that you're advising that are, for example, on academic warning or probation, or they've been academically suspended, right? And so when I click that, and then I'll just move it over, it gives you the information about what that means, right? What does it mean when a student has been placed on academic warning or probation or suspended? And then what do they have to do to come back to the college? And so these are also helpful places to have either bookmarked or know how to easily get to be able to help students when they come to you with their questions. So I will pause for 1 second and get my screens kind of together. If anyone has any questions, feel free to either, unmute or say it in the chat. I'm going to actually now go into SIS. Just want to make sure we went over that. All right, SIS. All right. SIS. Okay. So SIS, for those of you who will have access or already have access to SIS, the way that I got here is home for me, student inquiry, and then I put the student's ID number in there. I always copy it because I need it in different places. This is our fake student, right? They were formerly Tommy Nelson Jr. Now they are Jenny Penn the 7th, which I chuckled at. Now they're the 7th. And so this is what student inquiry looks like when you're working with students. And we use this every day. We use this in every session to look up student information, see what classes they took, see what program they're in, that sort of thing. And so the most important tabs you're going to use, for example, one is going to be their enrollment tab. You can either view it by semester or you can click view all. I actually enrolled this student in these classes today just to be able to help us with our session. But you can see what classes they took, whether they dropped them, whether they withdrew from them, and whether or not they got a passing grade. That's very helpful. Test results, in case any of that is important to you. Advising groups, which also includes their advisor. We also have their math placement. So when they take that enrollment survey, their math groups are put on their record. That is what allows them to actually enroll in those math and English classes. We also look at their program of study and if they have or have had any other programs. So for example, this student was in 3 different programs. 2 of them are now marked as discontinued. So if they If they had no programs that were actually active, they have to reapply to the college. If they're in a discontinued state, we wouldn't be able to update that. But right now, this student is in social science, and so I know that because of it's listed here. If they have any course transfer, test transfer, any other transfer, and then what students often ask about is residency. So I will have students come to me and say, well, I'm getting charged out of state tuition. And then I can look here and say, well, yeah, it says that you're actually, listed as out of state. That's a question that you'll want to go back and speak with the admissions on. It's also helpful to know if you're working with a student and they're a new student, when are they going to graduate from high school? Have they already graduated? Are they in a correct program? Things like that. And so this is what student inquiry is used for. In addition to looking at students' enrollment, being able to see, their GPA, which is right here, semester GPA and their cumulative GPA, we also can run several reports in here. And so with this particular student, let's say they came and they spoke to me about, am I in the right classes? Right? That's a question we get a lot, right? Did I enroll in the right classes? Well, we can figure that out and they can figure that out. One of the ways that we do that is we actually have an academic advising report. We can also run a what if report. And so the academic advising report, and I'll go ahead and I've bookmarked it. And so I have it here for this link and under request advisement report. I'll also show you one more way to do that. And this is the way that I typically use when I'm working with students. So there's something on the left called Student Services Center. And when I click that, once again, whatever ID was in there, it's there. I could also paste it. And this gives me, and it's really important, it's really cool to use. This gives me a snapshot of the student and their status. This is the same thing a student can see, which is kind of cool. So when I meet with students and they ask me about holds, why do I have a hold? I could have seen it in a previous screen, or I could see it here. This service indicator is also one way that I could see it. And it tells me any holds that the student may have. And so let's go back. Let's go back. To that Student Services Center. All right, here we go. And so this is the way that I could see holds. I can show the student this. I can share screen. I could click here and see details of the hold. If they have any to-do list items here, I can also see a balance, and I can see if they have any past due. Right? When it comes to financial aid, the student has to actually log into their own record, and then I can show them by clicking how to access their own financial aid. This is helpful, especially looking at this message center, which is right here. If I see anything that's in this message center, that lets me know that the student has things that they haven't tended to yet. And so I will talk to the student and say, hey, did you know about your past due balance? Or did you know about this message center? Are you actually going in and checking the things you need to check? I can also see the student schedule. We'll look at that in 1 second. What I want to show you is if you do the drop down, my academic requirements, and click the button, what you'll get is this academic advising report, right? So this is a really helpful tool. If they go in on their end, they get the exact same thing. And so I tell students, do not scroll down. This is going to confuse you. This is not the way you want to look at this. We want to actually click View Report as a PDF. It takes a little bit to load sometimes. I'll zoom in for you. But it's also helpful when, even you're working with students. Are they in the right programs? We saw that the student had 2 certificates, or was a certificate and a degree, that are not listed here. Lets us know that that's not currently active. We could use this as a tool to see, hey, is the student in the right program? Students don't always read that this is a VA transfer passport optional, right? It says optional right here. Right here it says, if you have any questions, please go to this website. They don't always see that. And so when I meet with students, I let them know, do not pay attention to this, right? This gets students confused. I say it's just to help you think about transfer, but it doesn't mean that if something's not there, that it won't transfer. And I direct them to the second page, right? And this is what actually starts their degree. So on page 2, and this is a really, I can't stress how helpful this is, because it tells you how many credits are in their program, how many have they used, right? Used means they got a passing grade for, they transferred it in, or they're currently enrolled. And then what do they need left, right? And what it does is it matches what's in the catalog. So this student, I did enroll them in SCV 100 College Success Skills in an 8-week 2, just for an example. So that is showing as in progress. When we scroll down, we're going to find one transfer credit, and we're going to try and find one more enrolled class. So I also enrolled them in Bio 101, right? That's also showing as in progress. And then we will go down, and they have a transfer credit right here, Math 263 Calculus, transferred in from VCU. It's a fake credit. And so that is what they'll see. What they'll also see, and this is why this is really helpful, is are there any classes on their record that are showing up as unused? Unused means it is not a part of their program of study. So let's say they were a human services major, and they had that on their actual their record. HMS 100 would 106 would show as used in human services, but unused in social science. But we get this all the time. Students will enroll in classes that they think are interesting. They'll enroll in classes that they just didn't know it didn't count. They thought that it counted, or they don't realize they already took it and they got a passing grade, or they looked at something because not all the systems are synced or updated adequately that said they needed this class, but when actuality they didn't, right? And so this is one of the most helpful tools we have, is being able to show students why a class isn't counting. That also goes back to the question of, why is my course ineligible with financial aid, right? Sometimes this is actually incorrect, and this course is a part of their curriculum. It is a course that they need to take. And so that's when we might do course substitution forms, or we may have to actually have their record corrected. And there's ways to do that as well. So I'm gonna clear my drawings, and we're going to show you one more cool report that we have. It is a what if report. So advising or what if. Like I said, I bookmarked this, so when and if you have access to SIS, if you don't already have it, you'll be able to bookmark it as well. And like I said, I will make a video on how to do all of these great things. So academic institution, I need to pick. The other report that we can do in addition to advising is called a what if report. It helps me to remember it's what if a student changed their program to X, Y, and Z. And so I'll just do it quickly with you right here. Like I said, and I know I keep saying it, I'm one of those like frantic, write everything down people, and we don't have to do that. So I'm just updating it. You do have to do this every time, as far as I am aware. Requirement term is important. What term is the change for? For this particular example, it's not supposed to be summer, it's supposed to be spring. So that's important when we have program changes and things have been updated from one catalog year to the next. We can come in here and we can select any program. And so for this example, I will what if this student to science right here. And then, okay, I don't usually use the sub plan. I'm usually not doing a what if for multiple plans, but that's something that we do have. And then I just hit process request. It's going to load, and it's going to look a lot like the academic advising report, because essentially visually it is the same report. All right, so what if this student transferred, they wanted to change to science? You'll get that. So especially if you have overlapping programs, for example, I get a lot of science students that say, I actually want to go into social science. But you may have a student that has a lot of transfer credits, or they want to get different degrees or certificates where this may be helpful. So I'll scroll down for you. So if you get dizzy, look away. And now we see 60 required, 9 U, excuse me, and 51 needed. We'll see the same requirements that are fulfilled. STV 100, Bio 101, and then when we scroll down, we'll also see in the science electives, we'll see that math course right here. Then I always check unused with students, and once again, HMS 106, it's not a part of science, therefore it is showing up as unused. And so that is super helpful. I have students run these reports on their own. When we meet, they get this, and I've also made videos on how to run this for students so that they know how to use these tools themselves. All right. All right, folks. Navigate Outlook and Zoom. So I'm using Zoom right now. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there's this really cool feature called Annotate. I don't know if you can see me drawing all that cool stuff. I'll draw a heart here, right? This is a feature that it is located right next to, I have a new share, a pause, and an annotate, and then remote control. It looks like a little pencil. And all I do is I click the pencil and then I start drawing. There's other stuff you can do. Like I could write on here if I wanted to, right? I could do that. I don't normally do it. I don't usually have a need to do it. I can also do stamps if I wanted to, just to show all this heart and love and everything. That's one thing, while I'm thinking about it, to just show you, right? That I use a lot when I share with students, especially when I'm guiding them. Click here. Oops, I didn't mean to click here. I literally meant to annotate. Click here, look at this. So that's something that you can do. Also, I have them share their screen a lot. And then I also use the chat feature a lot. So if I was in here, putting different like links and stuff to students as I'm meeting with them virtually, I would actually do that. So in the chat, I put a whole bunch of hearts in there for you all because I do appreciate you being here today. And so that's one part. Outlook, I'm going in reverse order, folks. So that's if you're like, wait, is Navigate up there? I know, we're just rock with me. Outlook is really helpful for me because I actually send students emails at the end of our session. As we're working together, I will actually open up my inbox and draft the email, right? And I'll put in links and everything that we talked about, I'll put it in there and I'll send it. That's really helpful for follow-up and appointment notes because of Navigate. And so Navigate is what we use for our case management. It's where we put our notes on our summaries, our appointments with students. And so we use it for appointment campaigns, summaries, and actual communication with students. And so what I can do is I'll take us to Navigate. All right, hopefully my not real student is still here. If not, I'll just have to log in and stop sharing my screen for 1 second so I can go ahead and do that. And if there's any questions, let me know. All right, here's Jenny Penn. Okay. So this is not the beginning of Navigate. Like I said, I have a lot of student information up there right now. We do have right here, we do have this home. So when you log into Navigate, there's a home that has all your assigned students and any upcoming appointments and things like that. And when you click on a particular student or you put their student ID in the quick search, this is what pops up. And so Navigate for on the student side, that's where they schedule appointments, and they also can register for classes, both in Navigate and SIS. For advisors, we're primarily using this for case management. Okay, what I use this for is one, to look at very quickly, what other appointments has the student had? And so here we have all of these different appointments that this student has had. There's appointment details that we can look at. And if there was anything written in here, it would be in here. If there's any files to look at, things like that, we can see when a student no-showed. And so it's really helpful to be able to look at and see what has a student, what has their interactions been prior to meeting with you. Okay, that's one important thing that I can do with the student. The other important thing I can do with the students, I can message the student. I won't do it here, but I could actually email the student if I wanted to, whatever I want to email them, and then hit send message. You can also send it to other people. I do this when I'm sending things to myself, or if I'm working with a student and I see that they've been working with another staff member and I want that staff member to be updated, I can send another email notification. I can also send a text message, which I won't do here, right? But you could also send one. I send this to let students know, hey, maybe I'm running late, or hey, are you still coming to the appointment? Or here's a link that I can text you because you're talking to me on Zoom on your phone, you're not on a laptop, things like that, so that you can also communicate with students via that. You could add notes on a student. We don't use notes that often. They go here. You can see this view notes, but you could have a note if you wanted to. It's something that you can just put a little note in there. You can make it private I think you can make it private to you, and I think you can, yeah, you can make it private to you. You can make it something that only the student can see as well, excuse me. And so I've used this in the past. I don't use it as much now because I just use the appointment summaries and I can attach things to the appointment summaries. You can also add a to-do item for the student. This is a new feature that was just added, I would say in the last like 6 months. You can actually, check this website. You can do a to-do that'll show up in their navigate that they have to check, right? If you want to, if that's how you want to work with your students and that's how you want to keep track of what they've done or, haven't done, you can. You can make it visible to the student. You can also email them. You can give it a due date. You can attach links to it. It's all really cool stuff. What we do a lot is report on appointment. This is not where you would do it unless the student drops in, maybe. Like I had a student just now that dropped in and I would come in here and do this. When you meet with the student and they've scheduled an appointment, there will be a link on your dashboard where you would just click that and then this opens up, right? And all of this information would already be filled out. So the care unit, where it was, I'm just kind of quickly just click some things, right? If it's related to a course, and then what kind of meeting type, we'll just say it was a virtual Zoom, date visit. Let's put this in here. You can put their transfer goals, if you referred them anywhere where they might want to transfer, if you want to fill this out, right? Especially with your new students, if it's or a new to you student. And then you can do whatever appointment summary you want. You can also attach files, which is really helpful. And remember how I said earlier, copy and paste is going to be your friend? This is where you could copy and paste the email that you sent to a student as a follow-up. You can copy and paste it in here. I do that all the time, right? Because I do it for the student, but I also am doing it for my own records because I know I have to do these navigate notes later. Okay, and then you would just save this report. Okay. If you're helping a student and maybe they're not your student, their advisor is here, their contact information is here, home, cell phone number, all of that is there. And so those are all really, really helpful things. The other one that's really helpful, we have schedule an appointment. So if it's a student that's one of your students, you can actually, from their student face sheet, schedule an appointment with yourself. And so I'll just click some things, right? Academic advising. I'll do, let's see. I have a different service type than my colleagues do. I have a new student check-in and a continuing student check-in. And so that's why I click that. Yours will be something different. And then I'll say 20 minutes because my appointments now are 20 minutes. And when I do that, oops, let's scroll down. Right? When I do that, let's find the openings for, let's look at, so I clicked on the 9th, it automatically defaults for today. So when I have to do that, I click it again. All right, there we go. It's going to load. And then this is where you can actually, if you wanted to schedule an appointment for a student that day, right, during your session, you can actually do that. And so right now it's showing Wednesday the 15th, right, from 11 to 11:20. So I could click that and then I could hit save right here, and the student would have that scheduled with me. The other cool part, last but not least, I think I only put like three bullet points, but here we are. You can make a list. Really cool thing to do. You can actually create a new list and add that student to the list. So let's say you have a list of students that I've met with, or students that are, in need of something. You can actually add them to that list as well, right? And so that also is incredibly, incredibly helpful for Navigate. Just want to make sure. Okay. How-to videos and other resources. This will get sent out, and I made this folder public. I think this one right here. I think I made it public. So that it's a folder for helpful resources that advisors could use, even after my time here has come to an end. This top folder. So hopefully you all will be able to get it. If not, then we'll figure that out. I'll figure out how to get that to you. So resource link for students. This is something that I made. It's a bit.ly link. It actually redirects students to a folder of resources that is how-tos and different things like that. I send that out. It's also in my signature. If you've ever gotten an email from me, feel free to use that. I definitely will make sure I share it with the advising team so that it can be updated and can continue to be useful. One of the things that I am most proud of is this link of helpful advising videos, and they are being updated. And so this is one that I've created with a lot of the how-tos. And so when I talked about, empowering students, it also entails giving them the resources. And so every single video that you see here is one that I created and recorded. And so I've been updating them. So the ones that have these like really cool, themed thumbnails, those are the newer ones, right? The ones that don't have the cool thumbnails, they're a little older. But when a student wants to know how to register for classes, either Navigate SIS, how to run their academic advising report, how to transfer, right? How to graduate this semester. All of these videos, they have been made for them, and they will continue to be updated during my time here. And then let me see, while I'm thinking about it, let's see if that bit.ly link, yep, here it is. So this is the bit.ly link from earlier, continuing student, new student, and some helpful, read how to read this, how to use these resources, excuse me. And so that's also there. The SharePoint folder is still being updated. And so that for right now, that's the presentation. I do hope it was helpful. Like I said, I'll be around until the 1st. And so I'll make sure that this is uploaded. It's uploaded to YouTube so that people can have it, and I'll include any important links in that. And so with that, because just remember we're recording, folks, I thank everyone for watching, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Thank you.